Welcome everybody to Profile Pod TV. I am Andy Anatomical, and we are back for another episode of the show. Today we're doing things a little bit differently. Typically what we do is we go live on YouTube, and we also, obviously we do the video, but due to some technical difficulties that I'm having here, we will only be posting the audio version, but that's okay. We're still going to bring we're still going to capture the magic. So there's no doubt in my mind about that, and yeah, it's just the only difference is, you're not going to see our beautiful faces on the screen here, especially my guest, which I'll introduce you in just a few minutes here. So yeah, how's everyone doing out there? Thank you so much for tuning in here to Profile Pod TV on YouTube, and it's been a very interesting week. For myself, it's been hot out here in LA, the greater LA area in Southern California, but I've been to the beach many days, and that's okay. You know, it's you go to the beach and you kind of defeat the heat, so to speak. You that's how you beat the heat. You gotta go to the beach. Gotta be at the beach, and so get out there, have fun wherever you're at. Enjoy the outdoors. Stay safe. And, but for now we are, I'm going to be doing the shout outs here as always. We do the shout outs, and it's always fun to give credit to those who are supporting the show, showing love on Instagram or wherever you're, on Twitter or Apple Podcasts, leaving comments, sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you so much for the support out there. First of all, I want to give a quick shout out to the Everyday Guy Pod. My man is showing a lot of support lately, chiming in on my my live Instagram lives, my leaving comments, liking my posts. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the support, and hopefully we can collaborate in the future here, and here on this show or your show, whatever, man. Also, Mega Man, want to give a quick shout out to Mega Man podcast. This Steven is his name, and I see him out very active, man. A lot of activity, a lot of constantly posting content. The guy's a grinder, because I think he posts or at least I don't know if he records several times a day or what, but he's constantly putting out episodes of his podcast. So, and that for me, that's inspirational, that's motivational. That's like I said, that type of stuff inspires me to push myself and to be more active, and it's just motivational, downright motivational. So thanks a lot, Mega Man. Appreciate what you're doing out there. And also Spoiled Everything Pod and Mastoro785 on Instagram. Thank you guys, or women or man or woman, thank you so much for posting and supporting and liking on Instagram. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I would love to collaborate with every single one of you. So in the future, maybe we'll see what it holds for us, and keep doing what you're doing, inspiring, doing special things. And that's what this Profile Pod's all about, man. Being inspired, showcasing individuals who are doing extraordinary things in life, and being inspirational, who are talented and who are, skillful, and putting themselves out there and contributing to, that creative community in the arts or whatever, what have you. So here on Profile Pod, we'll showcase entrepreneurs, podcasters, artists, musicians, what have you. And that's what it's all about. That's why I created Profile Pod TV, to create, to have another platform for those to share their experiences and showcase themselves, and again, just to inspire the world, man. That's what we're trying to do, and help each other grow, support each other as creators. So, and today is no exception to that. Let me one more thing before I introduce our awesome guest of the evening. And if you want to be on Profile Pod TV, hit me up on Instagram, or shoot me an email. Let me know. We would love to have you. If I always say, man, if you're dancing with penguins in the Antarctica, and or making movies or shooting videos, whatever, we want to have you on here. That's who we want to have. Individuals who are, again, doing extraordinary things, super cool stuff, creating content, and inspiring the world. So hit me up. We'd love to have you on. We're booked up until September. And so just let me know. We'll schedule something and we'll collaborate. All right. Follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to follow us at ProfilePodTV, at 90s Galore as well. And subscribe to this show on YouTube. Support the cause. And I appreciate the support, man. Hit that little red button. And your comments, your support, your likes, your sharing of this content is always appreciated. So don't forget to do that, man. And so let's get to our guests. Enough about me yapping here. I want to. This gentleman is from the UK, so we're kind of on a time difference here. He's 8 hours ahead of us, and I'm here in Los Angeles, California. It's almost 1 o'clock here. I think it's almost 9 o'clock his time, I want to say. So I want to thank our guest, first of all, for taking the time here. This gentleman has done a lot of stuff, man. It's super inspirational. He's an award-winning filmmaker and composer. He's also a musician, plays the drums. That I know for sure, and I want to say other instruments, and we'll get to that, and we'll see if he's done how many instruments he does play. He's here to discuss all about his career, his work, his body of work. Like I said, he's won awards with his films, and I can't wait. I can't wait to dig into this gentleman's story and his background. Again, out of the United Kingdom. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Martin Daniels to the podcast. How you doing, Martin?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Andy. Appreciate it.
Oh, no. Thank you for being here, man. How's the weather today out there in the UK?
It's kind of stormy, but we haven't had a storm yet, so it's kind of like humid at the moment. But we're hoping there's going to be a storm. There was a slight bit of rain today, but not enough. We
Oh,
need serious rain to, bring out this drought.
oh, you guys need rain too, huh? You're like California out here, man.
It's just been brutal here the last few days. It's kind of people saying it's unnatural for the UK. This weather, it's not what we usually have, and it's just full on. Yeah, I've kind of got used to it now, but I'm not really a hot weather person. So for me, yeah, it's like an endurance test, I suppose. But it's all right once you get used to it. But we need it to change a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt, MW. Well, I know your nickname. You go by MW, right?
Yeah, there's a little weird story behind that. Yeah, the reason for that. But yeah, I'll go by the name, my normal name, Martin. But the MW I've used for, because it was getting confusing, my name sort of thing. So I just used MW. I thought it'd be better. It used to be Martin Daniels, but my middle name's William, so I thought just use the initials. And it's just it adds to less confusion, because there's a magician. There used to be a magician from this country called Paul Daniels, and his son was called Martin Daniels. You see, and
Oh,
so I used to get the confusion with this guy. So for me to stop all that confusion,
uh,
yeah, it's MW. It happened on a show by a guy called Steve Davis, who was like a world champion snooker player from this country, and he does like a progressive music show. Um, and he played a few of my tracks quite a few years ago, and then in the comments box, someone put "son of," and I kind of thought, you know what, I'm not going to bother doing this anymore. Fuck that guy. I'm just going to like do MW. That's it. Fuck all that bloody son of shit. So I didn't want that at all. So that's the reason I kind of changed it. So Steve Davis sort of inadvertently made me change my name, and I'm glad because it actually works better.
yeah.
It looks better on the releases, and the symmetry of the M and the W looks kind of cool.
Right. Exactly. You turn an M upside down, it's a W, and vice versa.
Looks all right. It's like a logo, isn't it? Almost on its own. Yeah,
It,
it's all right.
it's like a
It's
Tetris
good.
piece, right? It fits right in. They fit.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Misfits logo or something like that, but it's a good logo.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I mean, my name's Andres in Spanish, and but I've always been
Okay.
Andy. I've always been Andy, and
Andy, yeah. Yeah.
but yeah. So whatever. That's my little story for
And why the
my first name.
anatomical? What's the reference for the anatomical?
Anatomical. I just thought it. Honestly, I just thought it sounded cool. I mean, no.
Okay.
It's an anthropological term, right? Anatomic, modern
Yeah.
human, and
Yeah, that's right.
it just kind of rolls off the tongue, and
Okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
you know,
It's a good name.
yeah. Sometimes I'll say double A, or I just kind of play with it. It's for
Okay.
marketing, I guess.
Right. No,
Uh,
it's good. Yeah.
just having fun with it, MW. So, but yeah, yeah. And where are you? Where exactly are you in the UK? Are you in England?
So I'm in London, England. Yeah,
London,
in
England.
south of London. Yeah, kind of south London.
Oh wow.
In England. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I was telling you, my wife has her family's on her mom's side.
Cool.
Her grandmothers they were born in. She was out. I mean, grew up in London, and
Right.
she was there during what she was telling me stories about World War II, and they had to
Yeah. Yeah.
evacuate their homes, and when she was
That's
a
right.
kid, and it was
Mm.
scary stuff, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. People
interesting
in
stuff.
like the tube stations and all this kind of stuff during the war. It's a crazy time, So
Oh
we
yeah,
wasn't born then. So luckily,
you're right.
you know,
Exactly
we
before our
wasn't
time.
born then to go through all that madness. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you grew up in London, MW.
I did, yeah. I grew up in London, yeah.
Oh wow, how was that?
That's
How was that experience? I mean,
Yeah, it was all right. I was always quite a quiet child, really. I was into drawing. I was into drawing wildlife, and I still like wildlife. I love animals, and I kind of, when I was growing up, I was just drawing animals out of, like books and stuff like that. So I
yeah.
was really obsessed by that, and I kind of, yeah, just quite a quiet kid at school. I don't know what changed,
Mm,
in,
yeah,
when I kind of when I left school, but yeah, I was kind of quite quiet, I suppose.
yeah.
Just like the kid in the corner, getting on with his own. Because I'm a Pisces, and I suppose I was just getting on with my own world. I was
Mm,
in my own world, which I'm still a little bit, I suppose, like that. I've
yeah,
got my own world to myself, and that's it.
right.
That's what I've been like since I was a child.
And I can imagine well, you're in I mean, I'm here close to Hollywood, California. Los Angeles, a hub for one of the biggest hubs in the world for entertainment, what have you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right, and you being in London, I mean, shoot, I can name thousands of. I mean, I would say that's a kind of a hub as well on that side of the world,
Mm.
that side of the
Yeah, it
pond.
is. It is.
And right away I start thinking of all the great bands that have come out of England, and the UK,
Yeah,
just I
yeah,
mean countless, right? Especially in the 80s, man. The Cure, the Smiths,
yeah.
Depeche Mode. I mean, just
Mm.
the list is endless, right?
Yeah,
How was
yeah.
that?
I
How was
mean,
that growing up in that scene?
yeah, amazing. I mean, I love all that music, or most of that music in the 80s, and I kind of, yeah, I kind of felt the change from the late 70s to the early 80s, with that transitional period where the music was going that way.
Mm.
And I love all that. I mean, like the first Kim Wilde is one of my favorite ever albums. She had a big hit with the song "Kids in America,"
Who was that? I'm
which was
sorry.
Kim Wilde. So she had a song called "Kids in America," which was a massive worldwide kind of
Gotcha.
hit.
Uh huh.
And that first album, it's kind of, sorry, one of the first albums I ever bought. And yeah, for me, it's kind of a landmark album. It's an album that defines kind of
Hmm.
when it come out. It's a groundbreaking record.
And that was you said '79, I think you said, or what year was
Well,
that?
the album come out. Yeah, that album come out in 1980. I think it come out in 1981. I should know this because it's a favorite record, really. So I should know all this stuff. Um, but yeah, her and Kate Bush were the two sort of people that I sort of idolized, musically. And I
Yeah.
wasn't playing any instruments then. I wasn't doing anything like that then. So for me, they were like the starting uh, thing for me,
Right.
at that time.
I see.
And then yeah, Human League, Gary Newman. Gary Newman I got into
Mm,
really early on, you know.
Gary Newman, yeah. I love that song
Yeah, and
Cars. His song Cars.
Love Cars, yeah, it's a
Oh,
classic. And the Smiths I found quite later.
yeah.
The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, but the '80s thing is the '80s electronic thing, or the '80s pop thing, the romantic, like Spandau Ballet and
Yeah.
Pet Shop Boys and Duran Duran. I mean, all that stuff's just amazing, you know.
Oh
It's
gosh.
groundbreaking because all the production in the '80s sounds flawless. It's like they put all the dials up to the top of the desk, and this, you know, it's just phenomenally
Absolutely.
massive sound in the '80s, you know.
It's a, yeah. I mean, yes, you guys were spoiled out there, man, with the, with all those bands and
Not
uh
really now though. It's pretty shit now, but back then
back then,
it
right?
was great, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything like Duran Duran or Spandau Ballet
Yeah, because
coming out now and knocking people's socks off. It just doesn't work like that anymore,
no,
unfortunately.
uh-huh. Yeah, I bet, man. I know. Being a kid, MW back then, I had older cousins, older uncles, and they were just knee deep in all that stuff, just immersed in all that music, and I was very
Yeah,
influential for myself because I love all that
yeah,
stuff. Being a kid, I'm talking, school age, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years
yeah.
old, and just falling in love with all that music. And even now,
Mm,
even Wham and George Michael, and
mm.
I mean, just all that, the Cult, the Cure, and they were all. It was huge out here in LA. I mean, it was huge everywhere, right? But
It was,
it
it was. It just,
was just
you know, the
amazing
Cult had
time.
like the Cult had like three. There was two bands before the Cult. You know, there was Southern Death Cult, and then they changed to the Cult. So it
Mm,
become, you know, so it was a lot, you know. And I love the early stuff, but I love the Cult. You know, I love Love and the album Electric. Them two albums I really like a lot. They're great records. But I love the early stuff as well when they were quite tribal
okay.
sounding. Like, I mean, Adam and the Ants probably was my favourite band in the '80s, and it still is.
Which
You know,
one?
Adam and the Ants. You know,
Oh, Adam and the
they
Ant.
were a very famous band, like
Yeah.
Ant Music and Stand and Deliver
Uh
were
huh.
two like massive tracks. So yeah, but everybody was doing something different in the '80s as well. It was kind of an eclectic time.
Right.
Um,
Right.
for music. It was exciting because it was like discoveries all
Mm.
the time. You know?
Abs-
That was, you know,
right. And where were you as far as were you what age range were you in during that time?
I was kind of 11, 12,
Okay.
like 13, something like that. Yeah. And I think when all that, you know, I kind of got into metal when I was 12. So, you
Mm.
know, I'd already been Kim Wilde and Tony Basil and all that kind of stuff. And I
Right.
liked Kate Bush, but I didn't really find Kate Bush properly until 1985, until Hounds of Love came out. But I was just, yeah, knee deep into metal. Like when I was 12, that was my kind of
Mm.
yeah, obsession, and still is to a point, you know. But I found like Motorhead
Right.
when I was 12, found Iron Maiden when I was 12 for a song called Run to the Hills, and once I bought that 7 inch, that was it. I was off, you know. I was obsessed by metal, you know. It was the
Mm.
greatest music for
Yes.
me, you know.
That,
Most exciting music, I'd say, you know.
no doubt. No doubt. MWA. And so were you more of a growing up? Were you more of an intellectual type of scholar, or were you
No,
into the
not
arts right away? Or were you into
no. That
sports?
all No, I was kind of into football a little bit when I was at school, but it didn't really last long. My dad's a really, really good snooker player, so I used to play snooker a bit, like
American
darts.
football or football?
No, like soccer, yeah,
Soccer,
like
right? We call it
international
soccer.
football, yeah. So I was into that, like when I was sort of, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. But
Hmm.
as soon as I found music, I kind of just left that behind. I got bored with that, and I just got obsessed by music
Uh
full
huh.
on. But I didn't get into the arts or anything intellectual like books or you know till I left school. Once I left school, yeah, that's when I started to sort of open up to cultures more and stuff and be interested in stuff
Hmm.
more. At school was different because it was so extreme and intense. It was you didn't even have time to think about being interested in anything. It was just this whirlwind of just madness when I was at school, you know. So, um, but once I left, it was different, you know. I remember being in the science lab once and looking out the window, the year before I left school and looking at this guy walking down the street because you could see the street from the window where we was, and I was thinking, I want to be that guy. I want to be like free, school. And I
Absolutely.
was really envious that that guy was older than me, didn't have to go to school when he was walking down the street at like 11 in the morning. And I wanted that to be me. And obviously, a year later, it was me. And it was a bit of a different story when you do leave school and you're out there. It's a little bit different. But yeah, didn't get into any arts and cultural stuff until, yeah, a long time after, really.
Okay. And when did you leave school? You said you left school. What age was that?
In 80, 1985, I left school.
85. And how old were you then?
15.
15. So that was probably high school age then, huh? You decided. Were your parents on board with that decision, or how did that play out with your parents and stuff? Or
They didn't really,
they know?
they just wanted what I wanted to do, kind of thing, And like we got a thing called like the dole here, which is like Social Security, and I went on that for almost a year, So I had a kind of year off of just like, just like hanging out with my friends and learning to play some instruments and not really doing much and just having a good time in that way. But I didn't work until the next year. So I got the job that I'm in now at the end of 1986, and then started work in 1987. Yeah, and it was great. It's my first job, and I had some money in my pocket, and I could buy t-shirts at gigs more. I could buy more records.
Right.
Start buying drums and instruments. So everything sort of changed,
So yeah. What did you do then, MW? You left school, and then what was that job that you started doing?
I'm in the same job now.
Oh, the same job. Oh,
yeah, it's like the same job. So it's a job like Graphics, which is like scanning and photocopying and all this kind of stuff. But I've been in the same job for about 32, 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I left for a year to do a record shop in 1993, just to help a friend out. And he lost a lot of money. I didn't put any money in it. I was just helping him. And, I was back on the dole again, and then I got my old job back, which was really nice of them to take me back. So yeah, I went back in January '94, and I've been back ever since. Yeah, I've been there ever since. So.
Very cool, very cool. So
yeah, it's nice.
Mm-hmm. So when did you discover? What was your first love then, MW? Let's kind of get into, your
women wise.
What was that?
Women, you mean girl wise?
Besides the women, right?
I wish there was more when I was at that age, but
was it music? Yeah. Music was your first passion?
As a teenager, yeah, music was the first thing that I got into, which I was obsessed by, and I wanted to be a musician. When I looked at Clive Burr on the inner cover of Number of the Beast, the Iron Maiden album, it's got various pictures of Clive Burr on drums and the band. I was just looking at that picture for ages, and I wanted to be behind the drum kit. I wanted to be in a band like Iron Maiden. Obviously, I'm not, but I wanted to be in a band. And even like, I remember watching The Jazz Singer, the Neil Diamond film, the remake film. And there's a drummer in that film, and he doesn't play any complicated drums, but watching him play them drums in 1981, my parents got the video out because they love Neil Diamond. I love Neil Diamond. Just watching the drummer again, I was thinking, I want to be a drummer.
Yeah.
I want to be a drummer. Every time I saw the drums, they look so beautiful, and the sound is so beautiful, and I really wanted to play drums. Yeah, but I still didn't play it till 2 years later. Yeah. So I was still waiting for that drum kit to come up, and it was at school when I played for the first time.
So you started playing the drums about 17, 18?
No, I started playing the drums when I was 13. So I went into school, like the music class one day. There was a drum kit there, and I just started bashing out Motorhead, Iron Fist, and I couldn't do the bass drum pedal properly because most people who get on drums for the first time are really shit at doing the bass drum pedal because it's, the coordination of the beat.
Yeah.
And by the time 1985 come, even when I left school, I was allowed to go back and go into the room above the headmistress's office and practice drums during the evening for a couple of hours. They let me do that, which was really nice. So I got to do that, and that's how I got to brush up on different bits and pieces because I couldn't have a drum kit here at home with neighbours and stuff. So that's how I did it. So school's not that bad, I suppose. I used to kind of slag it off, but it's not that bad, I suppose.
Right, right. In London, in England, high school is what, 4 years long?
It's changed now. I think it's changed a lot since I was at school. I think they may have to stay on to a lot later now. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's changed from when I was there. You had a thing called sixth form, which is basically you finish your school, and if you stay on, you go into the sixth form. And none of us in school, only the kind of people who wanted to
Right.
uh, get an academic type of thing,
Right.
that did that. But we just didn't give a shit. We wanted to get out of school and just have a good time and just do what you wanted, you know. So
For sure.
that was the thing. It's a bit more anarchic, you know. So
Yeah.
at school, so I
Yeah.
learned more out of school than I did in school, you
Gotcha.
know.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Right. Real life is the greatest teacher, right? I mean,
it
um,
is. Yeah, and you know, you just learn more out of books and stuff when
yeah.
they didn't teach me anything about, you know, music studies at school were really, it was just impossible at school to do
I hear you.
anything. You know, it was quite cruel. The kids were just so full on, and they'd be taking records out their sleeves that the music teachers brought in and just like pinging them across the room and just smashing them on the wall. That was what it was like. It was totally like nihilistic. They just didn't give a fuck, you know. So for me, it was very hard to concentrate on music at school because it was so full on. So for me,
Yeah.
I had to wait until I left school to kind of embrace it, really.
No, I hear you. No, that's, everybody has a different path, man. Everybody has their own
Yeah,
road,
yeah, totally.
and,
Yeah.
and school's not for everybody, and that's not a bad thing. It's just not.
It was
It's
a
just
good time, you know, for just having a good laugh and stuff. But that was about it, really. For learning, it just didn't. No, you
right.
know, the only thing I didn't really learn anything. It wasn't about that at school. It was about just having a good time with your friends, and
For sure.
that's what we saw
Yeah.
school as. You
It's
know,
just
it wasn't.
socializing.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
like that. It was like people setting, kind of almost trying to set fires on Bunsen burners in the science lab. That was what it was like in school, you know.
Exactly. So you fell in love with the drums,
Yeah.
MW, right? And what was your first experience being in a band, or how did that kind of play out? Did you and a group of friends start a band? Did you start the band on your own, or how? What was your first playing experience as far as
Uh,
performing in front of others? And
yeah, I was a standing music teacher. So the music teacher in the evening, there was a music class in the evening, and I started to go to it with a best friend of mine at the time. And the music teacher was probably ill and turn up, or she couldn't be bothered to turn up. So they had what they called a relief teacher, like a stand-in. And this guy was great. I was originally playing bass, and my friend was playing drums, and he swapped us round. And I said, I want to sort of get into bass now. I'm getting a bit bored with drums. And he said, no, I think you should swap round and you should be on drums. He should be on bass. And he gave us his basic four, like kind of things to play to. And that's what we did, like for about 2 hours that evening to get tight. And yeah, it was great. So he kind of started me on that road of playing instruments in a way. And then yeah, just did a few studio sort of sessions on a 4 track that a friend brought down, doing some covers, and then did like a what would you call, like a grindcore type of band that wasn't really worth really mentioning really, and then Long Cold Stare started in kind of late 1988. So I went through sort of 86, 87 doing this other band. I got bored with that, left it because it wasn't professional and it was just a bit rubbish really at times. And then yeah, we started Long Cold Stare, and then that was the first professional band in that way.
Long Cold
Sounds a bit
Stare.
weird, but yeah, like a professional punk band.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds a bit odd, but it was the first band where we took it seriously. You know,
Gotcha. And that, yeah, yeah. And how many members were in that band?
4 members were in the band.
And you were on the drums.
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
vocals?
yeah. The vocalist, unfortunately, but vocalist was a best friend of mine, and he unfortunately took his own life
Oh,
17 years ago now. Yeah, in January 2003.
sorry about
Um,
that.
yeah, no, that's fine, man. He was like, you know, one of my closest friends,
Mm.
Marshall. You know, so his name was Barry Lynch, and yeah, he was a friend of our family and stuff like that. But he
Yeah.
He kind of had a lot of depression and stuff like that, even when we did the band. But for him, he didn't. He kind of fed it into the lyrics. I think we were quite naive as a band, and we didn't really realize that we were kind of 19, 20 years old. But a lot of this stuff come out in the 90s, and he was opening up about problems and stuff that was going on in his life. And I knew that the inevitable was going to happen at some point, and it was scary. I mean, everybody kind of knew stuff about that, but
Right.
what can we do? I saw him 2 nights before he died, and I'm glad that he come visited this very room. And yeah, I'm very gratified about that. That I saw him
Yeah.
48 hours before. And yeah, he was a great. He was a. What would you say he was? He was a unassuming frontman. He wasn't like a frontman who's got all that kind of confidence. He was totally opposite than that.
Wow.
But when he got on stage, it sort of come out. Something else come out of him.
Yeah.
His frustrations were coming out, but he was almost putting his frustrations to the side as well. And he almost enjoyed that moment of playing in front of an audience, And
flip the switch
yeah,
kind of thing. Huh?
Yeah, it was a great band. It was quite deep. His lyrics are actually quite deep for bands at that time doing that kind of music, that kind of UK hardcore. There wasn't many bands doing it. And his lyrics were deep. Yeah, they were very deep.
Hardcore punk, huh? Is that long cold stare, right?
Yeah, we were like straight edge.